And I'm here as a contestant on CJME's to do the coolest job ever. The station is in search of the world's greatest fan, and I believe I am, and I'm hoping you guys do too. So they asked me to talk for 2 minutes, or they use the word rant to talk about the riders. Well, in my vocabulary, anybody that does talk, it is a rant, because if you're passionate about the riders, you talk. You don't talk, you rant. Same thing. So I thought, what can I talk about? Because the list is endless. So I chose to talk about our 5-0 riders. 5-0? We're not 5-0. What? We're 3-2? That's crazy. Well, how can that be? You know, I went to that game in Calgary, and when they scored 28 points in the first 3 quarters, I was jumping the gun, and I'm chanting to the Stamps fans, 4-0, 4-0, and I'm going on, and well, lesson learned that I've learned over the years, over and over again. So, something I have to keep learning. But when a team is up 35 points in a game, it should be enough to win. Then add in the equation that the defense only gives up 17 points in 3 quarters. You'd think like this would be candy to a baby. What the heck is the matter? But then the 4th quarter starts. What adjective can we use for the 4th quarter? I can think of many, and I'm sure you guys can too. We'll just say there was bedlam happening there, and it was a complete breakdown in all 3 phases of the game. A lot of people like to blame Durant. I'm a huge Durant fan. Although he had an interception and he had a fumble, when you put up that many points, his receivers were dropping balls. It was not his. And then the special teams, we missed field goals. How does that happen? Yeah, we got a new kicker in. Maybe that'll change, give it some competition. However, when the defense, they couldn't cover either the Hamilton game or the Calgary with a blanket. Like the backs were the backs were nowhere near 10 yards within a receiver. So I'm coming home from Calgary after a few days, mellowed out a bit, and I'm like, Coach Chaplin saying, hey, you know, this won't happen again. So you're thinking, yeah, they're a new team, you know, we're still 3-1, all life is good. So I'm driving home, it's all good. Then what happens? The Cats come to town. Same thing happens. Unacceptable in my eyes. 1 time you can live with, 2 times, no way. It's crazy. How does this happen that you give up 17 points and 19 points? I've been a fan for 30 years, and going to the games, I sit in center row, section 25, and I love my riders. But I've been around for the lean and mean years, and I'm thinking but our fans have deserved more, and we expect more in the last 10 years than we have when the mean 80s were around. And those dry years, we would have been happy. Even now, with a young team and a new coach, not just a new coach, but a rookie coach, here we are, 3-2. Most people would have been ecstatic. However, our expectations are better. We should have been 5-0, and against a divisional rivalry, a game we should have won, there was no excuse, young team or not, to have that loss. However, I also know, 89, all you have to do, make playoffs, because a 9-9 team can still win the Grey Cup. Go Riders! Woo!
So, Carla, we saw you. I thought you actually did pretty good. You had a lot of rider knowledge. There's no question that you love going to the games. So glad that you went to Calgary and you shared that story with us. If you do come back, I would recommend prepping a little bit more, trying to get a little bit more in your head as far as a flow and direction of where you want to go. You get there, I think you do pretty well.
Carla, it's always tough going first, the first contestant, but I enjoyed the enthusiasm. That's the key thing about this whole competition is enthusiasm. If everybody had that as much as you brought, I think it would be a great competition. I think preparation, however, is where it was lacking. I felt it was kind of all over the place on where your thoughts were going from Calgary to Hamilton game and things like that.
All right, Carla, it's never fair to go first, and you were the one that had to go first. It seemed to me you were rambling on a bit. Wasn't really prepared. There's no question that you're a huge rider fan. That's not the only criteria we're looking for. We're looking for someone to be on air and contribute more to a show. For me, again, no questioning that you're a rider fan, but just not what we're looking for here today.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're talking football, we're talking Riders football, and we're talking the newest program in Regina, 13 CJME News Talk Green Zone. I'm Joe Smith, I'm your host, and we're going to talk about Rider news. Let's talk about, well, now we're getting back from a bye week. Bye weeks are good. What are they good for? Resting. We got three players coming back from the secondary. They're injured last game. We got Terrain, Jackson, and I know this. Eddie Russ, Terrain, and Jackson. That's going to really help our defense. Last two games, especially the last game against Hamilton, there was a lot of breakdown in the secondary. We had a lot of new faces in there. Certainly was responsible for part of that breakdown. But there was many reasons for that breakdown. One of the other reasons, what the teams were doing, they had a lot of motion in the backfield, a lot of guys coming out in motion, and we are doing crossing patterns, and we are getting beat for many yards in those crossing patterns. So it was great to hear that the defensive coaches got together last week, did some planning. They got some new zone schemes that they're going to work on this week in practice. And what are they going to do? They're going to stop those crossing patterns and hopefully cut off those fourth quarter comeback victories from those other teams. What else is news? Well, there was many reasons why those last two games were breakdowns. You can't pinpoint it on anybody. Part of it was defense. Part of it was, well, Chris Beal. You know what? He was 1 for 3 in that last game. One of those field goals would have been the winner. You can forgive a guy anything outside of 40, but that 38-yarder that he missed, we have to get that. So as a result, we got a new face in town. Kicker Sandro DeAngelos, formerly of Calgary Stampeders, Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Montreal Alouettes. Well, he's in here. He's going to give it a go. Going to give Milo a little bit rest. Milo is, I think, one of the best punchers in this league. Great, let's do him his thing. Get him punting. Get him doing kickoffs. And we got DeAngelos in here. Hopefully take some pressure off Milo and make some clutch kicks. And that'll get us the victories that we need going forward. Okay, so what else are we going to talk about here? We talked about different things that cost us the games. The other one we talk about is what was the first key of the three games. First key, ball control. What did we not do in the last two? Well, we had turnovers, right? First three games, not a single turnover. Great record. Last two games, both in the fourth quarter. Darian Durant against the Calgary game, a bad interception he threw up that just really was a result, kind of like the TSN turning point of that game. And I don't know, can we say TSN on 13 CJ? Okay, sorry. That other channel TV show down in Toronto. And then we talk about the game in Hamilton. Again, the same thing. A pivotal fumble by Darian. Nobody around him, gets tripped, nobody hits the ball, and he drops the ball. That fumble was another direct result of a 7-point turnover there. And those are really three of the factors that really factored into the fourth quarter breakdown in my mind. And we fixed those three facets of the game, and we're going to be solid. Look out, Edmonton Eskimos. We're coming to get you. We're going to be there Friday night, and I predict the Riders by 10.
Joe, my man, I thought you did well. I thought you were a little bit nervous. I could tell there were a little bit of shakes there. But hey, you talked on Scar Street and you ranted about the Riders all by yourself, so that was pretty cool. I thought your Rider knowledge was really good. I thought your entertainment value was quite good as well. My recommendation for you going forward, if you do come back to the next round, it's 980 CJME, not 13 CJME. That change happened about 10 years ago, so that'd be my recommendation. But hey, way to go, buddy.
There was the preparation that went into it, just a little more practice on your thoughts, because there was sometimes you stumbled over the names you had written down. I know you knew that. I knew you had the Rider knowledge. It was just one of those nerves probably got to you a little bit, so maybe a little more practice. And of course, the first time in front of a mic in front of it's really tough to do, but your enthusiasm, your performance, everything was key. So I thought it was an overall pretty good first round.
Joe Smith coming up. It's always tough to talk in front of people in front of the Scar Street Mall. You did capture my attention. You wanted me. I wanted to hear more from what you were saying. Not all of the information that you were saying was accurate, but you said it you delivered it with confidence, and I believed it. Crossing routes. People have been trying to stop crossing routes since the day football was invented. It's hard to do in man coverage. No new defenses are ever going to be invented. Well, maybe not ever, but I believed in what you were saying. The entertainment value was there, and more of what we're looking for in this competition.